I see my roommate in law school from in the crowd, and then I see the guy that I sat next to, because he and Jackley are awful close together, so I get nervous when I open that stuff up. As long as he doesn't ask me about water law, we'll be all right. Yes?
Hey Marty, what revenue concerns or opportunities do you see 2 years out for South Dakota's operating budget?
One of the biggest revenue opportunities we have in South Dakota, we're going to hopefully know an answer on either Friday or Monday, and that is the internet sales tax. I think you've all generally followed the fact that a bipartisan South Dakota legislature, Republicans and Democrats, and a governor said, you know what, we waited for Congress since 1992, and they've done nothing on this important topic. And in the meanwhile, Main Street, South Dakota is hurting, because it's not fair that you go down to downtown Aberdeen and you buy a hammer and you pay a 6.5-cent sales tax. You go order that same hammer over the internet, you don't have to pay any tax. And so the legislature passed Senate Bill 106, and the South Dakota courts have been good to us, and they've moved that through. We've applied for cert to the United States Supreme Court. The briefing is done. And I say we, because it isn't just me, it isn't just our legislature and our governor. I convinced 34 state attorney generals to join us. So 35 of us, if you count me, the top litigators have said that this is important to our states, that this needs to be looked at. The National Governors Association has said this is important, we support this. I want to make sure that we do everything we can as a state to make that happen. What does it truly mean? I can't give you a full dollar figure. Our governor says it's $50 million right off the top each year. That's $50 million to go to economic development, education, and frankly to some potential property tax relief if ag doesn't get any better. The issue goes beyond that, though. It's jobs in Main Street, it's those small businesses that have closed, it's those malls like in Pierre that are becoming vacant. It's important. We have a good case. It's something that not often does the Supreme Court grant cert. I will tell you, in the opportunities, having been chairman of the nation's AGs and have that opportunity to speak to justices, they've been very open in telling us when the attorney generals, as the chief elected litigators of their state, say an issue is important, they listen. I'm hoping they listen on this one. If cert is granted, we would likely know in January, which means we would likely argue it in April, and then we would have a decision hopefully before the summer term is up so that we can begin a fairness in our tax. That's one of the huge revenue opportunities that we have. So there's $50 million right there. There's tobacco litigation that's been going on a long time. You may recall back when the attorney generals took on big tobacco. It was a very controversial issue. Our state receives somewhere between, depending upon the year, $24 to $27 million a year. We're one of the last states that has not settled. We are in negotiations on that. Some of that is securitized. Some of that would need to be worked through with 9 Indian reservations, so we're a ways away, but that in the next couple years could be a big boom. My ultimate hope, the sales tax increases, that whether one of those other two opportunities happens or not, that ag takes a turn for the better. And there's some things that we can do to help that turn that I've talked about, and I think that's another huge revenue source. And then you've seen it from me as my Attorney General, it's not always about revenue sources, it's about revenue cuts. It's back when the 24/7 program, a great program that helps this community, it's run by your sheriff, was in trouble. And the legislature came to me and said, Marty, we love your 24/7 program, but we're not going to pay for it anymore. At which point I said, all right, we're going to then make it offender pay, because it benefits offenders and they're still going to do this, and that program has continued to soar. So those are the type of things. There can be some revenue cut opportunities there that I think more government efficiency is always available, and that we can do some good things with that. Great question.